Have you ever been frustrated that your team keeps making decisions you know don't line up with how you want the business to run? You keep thinking to yourself, we've talked about this. Why don't they get it? Chances are it's not the people. It's the language problem. Hey, welcome to the Business Growth Made Simple podcast, where we help small business owners stop spinning, simplify their decisions, and build businesses that support their life, not consume it. Today, we're continuing our Climb Blueprint series and moving into the second letter, language. Now, the L in language has two different parts to it. Today, we're going to tackle the internal, why it's important to talk to your employees about your vision. A lot of times we think systems drive behavior, and we think rules drive your behavior. And sometimes we think policies drive behavior. But in reality, it's the language. The words you use or don't use shape how decisions are made in the field, how problems get solved, and how your team represents your brand, how much autonomy people feel, and how aligned your business really is. And if your language isn't clear, if it's not consistent, if it's not repeated, your business becomes reactive. You're constantly putting out fires. Now, many owners, and hopefully if you listen to the clarity piece of it, you now have a vision for your company, you're on a mission, and you've got a purpose. And maybe it's written down. Some companies it's framed. Some companies that frame's hanging on the wall. It's probably in your employee handbook if you have one. But then it never gets talked about again. We bring it up when we're onboarding our employees. We talk about it, but then we never talk about it again. And it reminds me of a funny story of a husband whose wife finally said to him after 20 years of marriage, "Hey, you never tell me you love me anymore." Thought about it for a little bit and then gets back and says, "I told you the day we got married, if anything changes, I'll let you know." Funny? Yes. Healthy? No. And yet this is exactly how many business owners treat vision and purpose. They think, I've already explained it once. They should remember, and they know what we stand for. But clarity doesn't come from one conversation. It comes from repetition. Your team doesn't need to hear it once. They need to hear it early and often. Because when the pressure's on, if they haven't heard your words, they're going to use their own language. Your employees are making dozens of decisions every day with or without you. How much time to spend with a customer, whether to upsell or not, how to handle a complaint, how to prioritize safety versus speed, how to represent the company when no one is watching. And in those moments, they're not going to pull out your SOP binder. They're going to ask themselves, what does the company value and what would leadership want me to do? But if you're not consistently, clearly saying out loud what the company stands for, they're going to default to their own internal, what do I stand for? Maybe it's speed over quality. Maybe it's comfort over standards, avoidance over owning the problem. But when your language is clear and it's repeated, something amazing happens. Your vision is going to tell them where you're going. Your mission tells them what matters today. And your purpose tells them why the work matters. And that then becomes part of the decision-making filter. If your language is we exist to do quality work and take care of people, then when the tech is behind, he's going to slow down and make sure it's done right. Maybe you value trust over transactions. salesman won't pressure a customer into buying something they don't need. And if your language is, we solve problems the right way, even when it costs us, callbacks are going to drop. Reviews are going to go up and reputation grows. But if you never say those things out loud consistently, your team is left guessing. And when people guess, alignment disappears. These things we call the core values or immutable laws. If you don't know what your core values are, I want to encourage you to take some time and think about them. Write them down. What are the things that you as a person, as the owner, what do you value the most? And what is it you're trying to portray to your clients that you value the most? And when you get them, write them down. And they don't have to be perfect. You just got to get started with a lot of this. Just start writing them down. Think about what it is that's a non-negotiable for you. What is it throughout your day that you encounter that makes you unhappy? And then do the reverse. For instance, if you come across every day, let's say you go to the same coffee shop and the person's rude every day, yet you continue to go there and you walk out and you're like, man, I can't believe they're rude to me. I need to go somewhere else where they're not as rude. Well, then one of your core values is politeness. Just say thank you. Be polite. But here's what happens when we don't get these down or when we get it wrong. You're going to skip it because you assume it's obvious that everybody knows. They assume that action matters more than words. But the action is going to follow your language. Your language is going to set the tone, set the direction. Action executes on that direction, on that tone. Now, here's the best thing. You don't have to rebrand the whole company just to start implementing this. You don't need to go to a retreat. Although if you're heading up the mountains or down the beach, let me know. I'll join you guys. And hey, it doesn't require any fancy words. It just needs you to be real, honest, consistent. Just start with saying the vision out loud weekly. Are you holding weekly meetings to let everybody know where you are and what's expected? If not, I highly recommend it. Tie your decisions back to your mission and your vision. And let people know when they come to you, hey, what do you think? Ask them what they think. Does it align with your vision and your mission? Repeat it after the onboarding. Reinforce it every day if possible and if necessary. But most importantly, model it yourself. Because if you're not speaking it, both audibly and actionably, no one else is going to do it. Hey, this episode, the L in Climb, was all about language internally, how you speak to your team. Next, we're going to tackle the other side of language in the next episode. How do you speak to your customers? How do you show up in your marketing? Because if your marketing and messaging doesn't make people think, wow, they're speaking directly to me, then you're invisible. And even if you're great at what you do. Now, if this episode made sense to you, especially if you realize language has been unclear, inconsistent in your business, we do have the Climb Blueprint that'll help you fix systematically. January, we have a cohort opening. Small group, high connection, clear execution, real momentum. You'll find that link in the show notes. And also, I want to announce that we are adding weekly on Monday mornings at 10 a.m. We're going to add a weekly. I'm going to call it a front porch coffee Q&A, at least for now. And what that's going to be is we're going to be doing a little bit of teaching, maybe 10, 15 minutes of the Climb Blueprint and just business growth in general. And then I'm going to open it up for questions. We're just going to spend an hour together. I'd love for you to join us. That link will be down in the show notes also. That's free of charge. Just show up. Sign up, please, so I know how many. I'm going to try and limit it to 25 max for now. But yeah, just show up with your questions, and we're going to talk about it, and hopefully I'll be able to help you move forward with your questions and answers. Help you move your business to more clarity, less stress, more profits, so that business is going to work for you, not against you. Thanks for listening to Business Growth Made Simple. I'll see you in the next episode.